rain was falling softly against the window that night, just like it is right now. 3 years ago, my wife Sarah died in a car accident on the highway. She was coming home from her night shift at the hospital. Inside the envelope was a thick stack of handwritten pages. Sarah's handwriting, the same neat, slightly slanted letters I used to see on grocery lists and love notes. I unfolded the first page slowly. The date at the top was from 4 years ago, almost a full year before the accident. The first line read, "My dearest Ryan, if you're reading this, it means I'm already gone. I'm so sorry I had to leave you and Lily. I'm even more sorry that I kept this from you while I was still here." I had to stop reading for a moment. I looked up from the paper and stared at the rain sliding down the glass. When I finally looked back down, I kept reading. Sarah wrote that she had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer almost 2 years before the car accident. Late stage. The doctors gave her 18 months. She chose not to tell me. She wrote that she didn't want our last years together to be consumed by hospitals. She didn't want the aggressive chemo that wouldn't save her anyway. She wanted us to live normally. So she lied. All those extra graveyard shifts she claimed she was taking. All those mornings she came home looking pale, thin, and completely exhausted. She wasn't working. She was managing her illness alone. She wrote that she was selfish. She wanted Lily to remember her mother laughing, not fatting away in a clinical hospital bed. She loved me too much to make me watch her die. I sat there, letting that sink in, quiet tears falling onto the desk. But then I turned to the next page, and the ground beneath me just vanished. Sarah wrote, "There's something else I need to tell you. Something I've carried alone for 6 years. I'm so sorry, Ryan. Our beautiful Lily. She isn't biologically yours." I didn't gasp. The room didn't spin. I just stared at the ink, reading the sentence again and again. Sarah explained that 6 years ago, when Lily was conceived, we were going through that terrible year. I was working 80-hour weeks on a software startup that eventually failed. I was distant. We barely spoke. One night, after a horrible argument, Sarah went out with her coworkers. She had too much to drink. She made a mistake. A one-time mistake. The man was Mark, my best friend from college, the guy who stood beside me at our wedding, the guy we named as Lily's godfather. Suddenly, a memory hit me like a physical blow. Mark had moved away to Seattle just 2 weeks after Sarah's funeral. He practically vanished. He barely looked me in the eye at the burial. I thought he was just overwhelmed by grief. But now I understood. He was running from his guilt. Sarah wrote that she found out she was pregnant 2 months later. She was terrified. She considered telling me everything. But then she saw my face when we looked at the first ultrasound. She saw how I spent my weekends painting the nursery. She saw how much I already loved that little girl. So she buried the truth. I watched you fall in love with her every single day, she wrote. You are the only father she has ever known. You are her dad in every way that matters. I know this truth will destroy you, but I couldn't leave this world without you knowing. At the very end of the letter, she left a small note. Ryan, if you're angry, I understand. If you need to walk away from everything, I understand that too. But please, no matter what you decide, love Lily the way you always have. She is still your daughter. I sat there for a long time after I finished reading. The rain kept falling outside, washing the city streets clean. But inside, everything was ruined. Everything I thought I knew about my life, about my marriage, about my best friend, about the little girl sleeping down the hall, was a lie built on another lie. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I just sat in the dark, holding the paper, and whispered to the empty room, Sarah, what did you do? A truck lost control. It crossed the median and hit her head on. She was gone before the ambulance even arrived. My name is Ryan. I'm 34 years old now. And tonight, if you're lying in bed with the lights off, maybe the rain is tapping gently on your window too, I'm going to tell you the whole story. The real one. The one I've been carrying alone for the last 3 years. This is not a story about revenge or anger. It's a story about love, about secrets, and about learning how to keep breathing when everything you believed in gets taken away. Get comfortable. Pull the blanket up a little higher. Close your eyes if you want. This one is long. This one is slow. This one hurts. But it also heals in its own quiet way. After Sarah died, the world became very quiet. Our house, which used to constantly hum with her true crime podcasts, and the heavy clatter of her nursing clogs, suddenly felt like a museum. Too still, too empty. Our daughter Lily was only 5 when it happened. She doesn't remember much about the accident itself. She just knows that Mommy went to heaven and isn't coming back. She still sleeps with Sarah's old oversized hospital fleece every night. The gray one with the frayed sleeves. The one Sarah used to wear on her long graveyard shifts. I became a single dad overnight. I work from home as a software engineer, so I can be there when Lily gets off the school bus. I make her lunches. I struggle to braid her hair without making it crooked. I read her the same bedtime stories Sarah used to read. On the outside, people say I'm doing okay. They tell me I'm strong. They tell me Lily is lucky to have me. But inside, I'm still waiting for the sound of Sarah's keys in the front door. Some nights I sit on the edge of our bed, staring at her empty nightstand. I talk to her like She's just in the bathroom brushing her teeth. I tell her about Lily's math homework. I tell her about the broken toaster. I tell her about how tired I am of pretending everything is fine. I never told anyone this before. 3 years ago, a few days after the funeral, Sarah's mom came over to help me pack up some of her things. She handed me a thick, sealed envelope she found taped to the bottom of Sarah's jewelry box. She said Sarah must have hidden it there recently. On the front, in Sarah's neat, slanted handwriting, it said, "To Ryan, only open this on Lily's 18th birthday. Promise me." I promised. For 3 years, that envelope sat in the bottom drawer of my desk, underneath old tax returns and manuals, unopened. Every time I accidentally brushed against it while looking for a pen, my chest would tighten. I told myself I would wait. I told myself Sarah must have had a reason to want me to wait another 10 years. But last month, on a cold Tuesday night just like this one, the silence in the house finally broke me. Lily was already asleep. The house was quiet except for the steady rhythm of the rain. I sat down at my desk. I pulled open the drawer, and I stared at that envelope for almost an hour. I didn't shake. I didn't cry. I just felt a cold, heavy weight settle in my stomach as I picked up a letter opener. I broke my promise. I sliced the seal. I don't remember how long I sat there. The letter was still in my hands. The pages had become warm from my grip. Outside, the rain kept falling in that steady, quiet rhythm, like it was trying to soothe something that couldn't be soothed. My mind was spinning so fast it felt like it was going to break. Lily isn't mine. The sentence kept repeating in my head over and over, like a record stuck on a scratched note. I looked at the framed photos on my desk. I used to tell people Lily had my eyes. I used to think her chin looked just like my father's. Now, I realized I was just seeing what I wanted to see. When I looked closer, I saw Mark. The shape of her smile, the way her hair waved. It was all there, hidden in plain sight for 6 years. I stood up slowly. My legs felt like they were made of glass. I walked to Lily's bedroom door and stood there for a long time, just watching her sleep. She was curled up on her side, holding that old hospital fleece. Her small chest rose and fell peacefully. I whispered to the dark room, "You're still my daughter." But the words felt heavy. They felt like a lie and the truth at the same time. I went back to the desk and read the rest of Sarah's letter. She wrote about the night she told Mark she was pregnant. She wrote that Mark panicked. He didn't want a baby. He didn't want to lose his best friend. He told her to take care of it, and then he never spoke of it again. She wrote, "I watched you fall in love with her from the very first ultrasound. You cried when you heard her heartbeat. You stayed up all night when she had colic. You are her father, Ryan. In every way that matters, you are her dad." At the very end of the letter, There was a small postscript. The ink was faded, as if she had written it much later. Ryan, if you're reading this, I know you're hurting. But please, if you can find it in your heart, don't hate Mark. He was weak, I was weak. We both failed you. I didn't cry. Not then. I just stood there in the quiet house, trying to understand how the two people I trusted most in this world could look me in the eye every day while carrying a secret that would end me. The next morning, Lily woke me up by pressing her cold little feet against my legs. "Daddy, can we make pancakes?" she asked. Her voice was still sleepy and sweet. I looked at her, and for the first time in 6 years, I felt a flicker of distance. I hated myself for it, but it was there 2 weeks past. I didn't sleep. I would lie awake next to the empty side of the bed and stare at the ceiling, replaying every memory I had with Sarah and Mark. Every barbecue in the backyard. Every time Mark would pick Lily up and call her his little niece. I kept wondering, did he know? Did he look at her and see his own blood? Did he ever feel a single pang of guilt when he called me brother? I lost weight. My friends started asking if I was okay. I told them I was just tired. But Lily, she noticed. One night while I was tucking her in, she touched my face and asked, "Daddy, why do you look sad?" I almost broke right there. "I'm just missing Mommy a little extra tonight, sweetheart," I told her. I knew I couldn't keep this inside. The secret was eating me alive. So one rainy Saturday afternoon, I texted Mark, "Hey man, can you come over? Lily is at a sleepover. Need to talk." He replied a minute later, "Sure brother, see you at 7. When he arrived, he brought a 6-pack of beer. He walked in with that same easy smile he'd had since college. He put the beer in the fridge and sat at the kitchen table. He didn't know the world was about to end. I didn't offer him a drink. I just placed the envelope on the table between us. Mark looked down at it. He recognized the handwriting. I saw the color drain from his face instantly. I didn't raise my voice. I just said quietly, "Sarah left this for me. She told me everything, Mark." The silence that followed was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Mark's hands started to twitch on the table. He didn't try to deny it. He didn't make excuses. He just put his head in his hands and started to sob. Not the loud, dramatic kind, but a quiet, pathetic sound. He told me it happened only once. A night when Sarah and I had been fighting. He said he had always been jealous of what we had. He said he regretted it every day. Then I asked the only question that mattered to me. "Did you know she was yours?" Mark looked up, his eyes red. "I suspected," he whispered, "but I didn't want it to be true. I wanted her to be yours, Ryan. I wanted us to just keep being friends." I looked at him, and I realized I didn't feel anger. I just felt disgusted. He had watched me raise his child for 6 years, and he had called it friendship. I told him to leave. He tried to apologize. He tried to reach for my hand. I just pointed at the door. I need time, I said. I don't know if I'll ever speak to you again. But for Lily's sake, we aren't going to make a scene. Not yet. He left, walking out into the rain without a word. I went into Lily's room and sat on the floor. The house was quiet again. I thought about the letter. I thought about Sarah's request not to hate him. I realized then that I could forgive a mistake, but I couldn't forgive the 6 years of silence. I picked up the gray hospital fleece from her bed and held it to my face. The scent was almost gone. I whispered to the empty room, "She's mine, Mark. She'll always be mine. And you're nobody to her now." The weeks after I met Mark felt like living in a fog. I went through the motions of everyday life, but nothing felt real anymore. I made breakfast for Lily, drove her to school, picked her up, helped her with homework, read her bedtime stories. I smiled when she laughed. I hugged her when she needed it. But inside, I was quietly falling apart. Some nights I would sit on the porch after Lily went asleep, holding Sarah's letter in my hands, reading the same paragraphs over and over. The rain would fall softly, just like it is right now, and I would whisper questions into the dark. Why didn't you tell me? How could you carry this alone? How am I supposed to look at Lily and not wonder? The anger came in waves. Sometimes it was sharp and sudden. Sometimes it was a dull, heavy ache that made it hard to breathe. I was angry at Sarah for lying. I was angry at Mark for betraying me. Most of all, I was angry at myself for not seeing it. One evening, Lily came out to the porch while I was sitting there. She climbed into my lap without saying anything, rested her head on my chest, and whispered, "Daddy, why are you sad?" I held her close. Her hair smelled like the strawberry shampoo we use. I felt her small heartbeat against mine. In that moment, something inside me shifted. I realized that no matter what the letter said, no matter whose DNA she carried, Lily was my daughter. She had been my daughter from the first second I held her in the hospital. She was the little girl who called me Daddy every morning. She was the one who drew pictures of us as stick figures holding hands. She was mine in every way that truly mattered. I kissed the top of her head and said, "I'm not sad, sweetheart. I'm just thinking about how much I love you." She smiled and hugged me tighter. That night was the first time I slept more than 3 hours in weeks. The healing didn't happen all at once. It happened in small, quiet moments. I started going to therapy, not because I wanted to, but because I knew I couldn't carry this alone anymore. My therapist, Dr. Ellis, was a calm older woman with kind eyes. She never rushed me. She just listened. In one session, I told her, "I feel like my whole life was a lie." She looked at me gently and said, "Ryan, your love for Lily was never a lie. That part was always real. Those words stayed with me. I also started writing letters to Sarah. Not angry ones, just honest ones. I told her how much I missed her. I told her how beautiful Lily was becoming. I told her that I was trying to forgive her. I never sent them. I just needed to say the words. Slowly, I began to see Mark differently. He didn't push. He didn't ask for anything. He just kept showing up as Lily's uncle, taking her to the park, helping her with science projects, sending her silly videos that made her laugh. One afternoon, he came over to help Lily build a volcano for her school project. I watched them from the kitchen. Lily was covered in baking soda and vinegar, laughing so hard she could barely breathe. Mark looked at me across the room. His eyes were full of quiet regret. Later, when Lily went to wash her hands, he said softly, "I will never try to take her from you, Ryan. She's your daughter. I just want to be part of her life, if you'll let me." I didn't answer right away. I looked at him for a long time. Finally I said, "She loves you. I'm not going to take that away from her." It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was a beginning. The real turning point came on Lily's 9th birthday. We had a small party in the backyard. Mark was there. My parents were there. A few close friends. Lily blew out her candles and made a wish. When I asked her what she wished for, she looked up at me with those big brown eyes and said, "I wish that you would stop being sad, Daddy. I want you to be happy again." That night, after everyone had gone home, I sat on the edge of her bed while she slept. I held her small hand and whispered, "I'm going to be okay, sweetheart. We both are." For the first time in months, I believed it. I still miss Sarah every single day. I still feel the sting of her secret. But I've learned that love isn't only about blood. It's about the years I spent rocking Lily to sleep when she had nightmares. It's about the way she runs to me when she's scared. It's about choosing to be her father every single day, even when the truth tried to take that away from me. I still have Sarah's letter. I keep it in the wooden box. Sometimes I read it when the nights feel too long. But now, when I read it, I don't feel only pain. I also feel gratitude. She gave me the truth, even if it came too late. And in doing so, she reminded me of the most important thing. Lily is my daughter. She always has been. She always will be. Time doesn't heal everything, but it does teach you how to carry the weight without letting it crush you. It has been almost a year since I opened Sarah's letter. The rain still falls on nights like this, soft and steady, the same way it did the night everything changed. Lily is 9 now. She's taller. Her laugh is louder, and she's starting to get that preteen spark in her eyes. She still sleeps with Sarah's old hospital fleece, but she also wears the silver heart bracelet I bought her last Christmas. The one that says, "Daddy's girl." I never told her the truth. Not yet. Maybe one day, when she's older and can understand that love is a choice, not just a bloodline. But for now, she is just my daughter. She has always been my daughter. And that is enough. Mark is still in our lives. He comes over every other weekend. He helps Lily with her science projects. He takes her to the park to practice her soccer kicks. He never tries to be more than her uncle. He stays in the background, exactly where we agreed he should be. We don't talk about the letter. We don't need to. Some things are better left as a quiet understanding between two men who both lost the same woman. I haven't forgiven him completely. I don't know if I ever will. But I've stopped letting the anger dictate how I live my life. I still miss Sarah every single day. Some mornings I still wake up and reach for her side of the bed before I remember. But the sharp, jagged pain has softened into something quieter. A gentle ache that reminds me I was loved deeply once. Even if that love was complicated. Even if it was flawed. I keep her letter in the wooden box. I read it sometimes when the house is too quiet. Not to punish myself anymore, but to remember the woman who tried so hard to protect the world we built. She made mistakes, heavy, life-altering mistakes, but she also loved me enough to leave me the truth when she knew she wouldn't be here to face it with me. I've learned that forgiveness isn't a single moment. It's 1,000 small choices. Choosing to make Lily's favorite pancakes even when I'm exhausted. Choosing to smile when she runs to me after school and tells me about her day. Choosing to let Mark stay in her life because she loves him. Choosing to be the father she deserves, even when the truth tried to tell me I wasn't. Last month, Lily drew a picture of our family at school. It was the three of us. Me, her, and Sarah in heaven with big, bright angel wings. She showed it to me proudly and whispered, "Even though Mommy is in heaven, we're still a family, right, Daddy?" I pulled her into my arms and held her tight. I could feel her small heart beating against mine. The same rhythm, the same life. "Yes, sweetheart," I whispered. "We're still a family." And for the first time in a very long time, as the rain tapped gently against the window, I finally believed it.